Hey guys, Rambo here. I'm trying some new stuff on this channel. I decided to start reading off some short stories, some of my originals, some from other people. I don't know. I have some that I got here. Hopefully you guys enjoy. This is unedited as usual, so I'm just going to be speaking from the top of my head. I wrote this one. It's called Strange Day. And before I get to it, I did base this story off of Memento Mori by Jonathan Nolan and his brother Christopher's movie, Memento. I love Christopher Nolan, and I got this idea when I was in creative writing class, so I'm going to read it off to you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy. I'm going to be reading some of my Halloween short stories when October comes along, so it's going to be fun. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. This is mostly associated with creepypasta, but I don't really like writing horror stories that much. I just write what's coming into my mind, so hopefully you guys enjoy this one. So, Strange Day. I remember very little of what happened the previous night, but I do remember waking up on the side of the road. Some homeless people gave me the stink eye as I woke up and looked around. Cars were speeding around, and I was very confused on who I was and how I got here. I looked around and saw I was wearing a trench coat and a shirt with a bulletproof vest on it, with 4 bullet holes on it. I decided not to take off the bulletproof vest. I couldn't remember my name or why I was where I was or anything for the matter. I got up and looked around. I saw the cars moving fast, and I wasn't about to stop them. I saw that the homeless people gave me some strange looks as well. I wasn't planning on staying, as some of the homeless folk looked at me lustfully. I wasn't about to fulfill their needs as I ran up the road, and then I stopped and decided to get a rest and see if there was anything in my pockets of use. I looked around and saw that I had a wallet on me. I opened it and saw that it had about $1,000 in it, and I saw an ID on the back with my face in it and a name on it. The name was Alex Smith, and the birthday was March 9th, 1994. As I examined the wallet, I heard a small ringtone. I heard the source of the ringing in my pocket and saw I was getting a call from a person by the name of Richard Smith. I hesitated, but then I finally answered the phone. "Hello," I said, cautiously. "Hey, bro," the man on the other line answered. "What's up?" "Who is this?" I asked, still cautious. He laughed. "Funny, bro. It's your brother, Richard." "I have a brother," I thought. "This'll be interesting." "What's up?" I said. "What's up?" Richard said. "I called you 4 times last night. I thought you were dead." "Dead?" I asked. "What do you mean?" "You said that you were going to get a car with the money we took in it. A white truck with a blue cover on it. The license plate you said says 80K5712. It's in a warehouse at the 27th, at 27th and Brookend." I remembered where it was. I walked all the way there. As I did, I began to remember, rather distantly, to the warehouse. The heat was so bad that I could barely stand it. I walked for about 15 minutes till I finally arrived at the said warehouse. I walked inside and I found the said white truck with the blue cover on it. I walked over to the truck and saw that it had a keypad, and I remembered the code. I was about to type it when I heard a voice. "Hey, bro," the man said. "What are you doing here?" He had a gun in his hand. The second man stood beside him with an axe in his hand. "Getting a package," I said calmly. "Well, it's ours now, because we found it," the first man said, gun aimed at me. "Now step away." "No," I said, defiant. "Don't you," the man began. I grabbed his arm and we struggled for several minutes. The man watched us as we struggled. We struggled for a while until I heard a gunshot. The man attacking me then crumpled to the ground, dead. The second man looked at me in shock and dropped his axe. I walked over and pointed the gun at him. "Hand it over," I demanded. The man obediently did so as I took the axe and broke the window to the car. I saw a black duffel bag sitting there. I took it and then walked over to the second man and then knocked him out. I then disposed of the axe in my hand as I was leaving. And then I left the warehouse. As I walked from the warehouse, I came across a grotesque scene. There were 2 bodies on the ground, deceased. I looked around in curiosity, and right then I began to remember I had run through here in a shootout between myself and the two men who were concurrently dead. I remember I was shot about 4 times in the back, but the bulletproof vest on me saved my life. As I was remembering, I took my bulletproof vest off of my body and saw that there were indeed 4 bullet holes in the back of the vest, but there were no bullets inside. Must have pulled them out, I thought. I walked with the money outside. I intended to retrace my steps on what happened to me and how I got to where I was from there. I walked from the warehouse, and I began to walk on the road, and I began to remember that I had driven, albeit very fast. My walking became running as I began remembering that I crashed my car near where I woke. I ran up for about 45 minutes before I found a completely crashed vehicle. Then I saw that it indeed crashed below where I found myself. As I was remembering, I got a call from Richard again. I answered. "Hello," I said. "Where are you?" Richard asked. "I'm down the road." "Okay, stay there. We'll be there in a second," Richard said. Well, he must have some people with him, I thought. I waited for about 5 minutes before a van sped over to my direction and stopped by me. A blonde-haired man and 2 other men wearing suits were in the car. "Come on in, bro," the blonde man said. I assumed him to be Richard. I walked over and got in the van. The van then drove for about 17 miles. Richard looked agitated. "Do you have it?" Richard asked. I was hesitant to give it to him. He was my brother, but I didn't exactly remember having one. But then again, I wasn't remembering a lot of things, except for what I had learned as I was running. We drove for about 45 minutes, and then we finally stopped. We were in a dark parking lot. Richard had said some men would come to collect the bag in my hand. I was suspicious of my brother's intentions as we pulled up to the lot. We waited in the car for about 15 minutes when suddenly, out of the blue, 2 men dressed in ski masks and blue getup. They both had machine guns in their hands. They then began to fire. Both men in the driver's and side seat were both shot immediately. "Get down!" Richard yelled. I got down as Richard pulled out a gun and began looking around. The first man began to walk and fire at us. "We need to get out of the car!" Richard yelled. We both managed to crawl to the side of the car when the first man with the machine gun came to our door. Richard suddenly pulled his gun and shot him in the chest area 2 times. "No!" the second man yelled. The second man began to fire at us. Other side! Other side!" Richard demanded. Richard and I then went to the other side, and then we got out of the car before the second man could reach us. We then hid at the side of the car. The second man began to walk around, but Richard then turned and shot him. The second man then fell to the ground, not moving for several minutes. Richard looked around and then got up and walked over to the other man and then shot him as well. Richard then looked at me and said, "We need to leave." Richard and I then left, and we ran towards another part of the parking lot until we both stopped by a car. I began to walk ahead of him. "Wait," he said. I stopped. And as I did, and I began to say something, as I began to remember that my actual brother looked very similar to me, and the brother that I was speaking to had blonde hair and looked nothing like me. As I came back from the memory, I heard my brother say, "Look, I want to let you know that this isn't personal." Right then, I saw through the rear view mirror that my brother had a gun pointed at me. I managed to turn around and attack and take the gun, and knock him out with it. 2 other men were there, one with a silenced sniper rifle and one with an automatic pistol. When the first man came around, I managed to knock him down and kill him with my pistol that I acquired. When I got up to check out the place, a sniper shot managed to disorient but not hit me. I got up and noticed that I saw the second man began to walk over and shoot at my car with his sniper rifle. I grabbed my pistol and then shot him as he got really close. With both of them dead, I walked over to the brother imposter. He looked at me in fear as I pointed the gun at him. "What happened to my real brother?" I asked. The imposter looked at me. "He was shot in a drive-by shooting." I began to look vaguely distressed, as I remembered when my real brother died in a drive-by shooting. "You really don't remember, do you?" the imposter said. "I suddenly shot him. He slumped to the ground dead. I grabbed the money and left the imposter there, bleeding out. I still don't exactly remember everything that happened that day. I can tell you it was a very strange day. I've been alright financially. The money I had was enough for me to lead a normal life. I still do wonder who the money belonged to, or if I even had a real brother, or anything of the matter. I'm hoping that the people who did originally own the money I acquired come back to get it. If they do, they'll know that I'll be prepared.